for Halloween. Hello,
You're
everyone,
first up.
and we are live. We were chatting with Zvonimir for so long that we are actually 3 minutes late. Actually, I'm kidding. It was myself and technical problems, so super sorry for that. But we are extremely excited to have you all here, and also to the people who will be watching us post webinar. Welcome, everyone. Shout out for you to make the time today. My name is Chris, and I'm co-founder of Value Ships Boutique Pricing Consultancy. I'm coming from Poland. You can see it from my name. So if you are from any other region or also if you're from Poland, tell us in the chat where are you coming from, what you are doing in your life, and is it connected with pricing? But let's start with countries. And today I have Zvonimir with me, good friend. We've met on the amazing conference on Sastanak, and I was actually amazed how much do you know about the data. And we also had a lovely chat on pricing. So maybe without the further ado, let me not introduce yourself, but maybe if you can say just a couple of words of what are you doing, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, no, Chris, thank you so much. First of all, for inviting me, for having me here. Yeah, it's been a while. Great conversation on at Sastanak. It was so great meeting you. I never knew that there's so much to pricing. You opened my eyes, so that was really cool. Hopefully, we can do the same thing for everyone. What you mentioned about the audience, it doesn't have to be like your role doesn't have to specifically be involved with the pricing, but pricing affects you. It's like politics. You don't have to be part of the politics, but affects your life. But anyways, yeah. Hi everyone. My name is Zvonimir. I'm lead partnerships and work closely with sales and product teams at ContactOut. We're a lead gen company. Big part of my role has been finding that balance between a growing revenue and keeping customers happy, reducing the churn, obviously, huge enemy of every every person in SaaS. And obviously that involves a lot of pricing discussions and conversations. And yeah, so today I'll share what we learned about how to approach the price, how to approach the increase without losing the customer trust or momentum. And hopefully Chris will also back me up there, share his insights since he's more experienced in that topic.
We had this nerdy chat in Croatia, and today we decided to share our nerdy pricing chat. Hopefully, interesting for everyone. So while still maybe some people are joining, we have a very a bit of I would say tradition in this webinar when we are asking our interviewees how they see technological ecosystem to evolve in not 1 year, not 2 years, but 10 years from now. So a bit of a gut feeling, a bit of a forecasting. So while waiting for more people to join, Zvonimir, a quick question for you. How do you see technology ecosystem evolving in next 10 years?
Well, that's a great question, and I see a lot of changes. And my passion is sort of like disruption of the market, something I picked up from my mentor Santosh, who was C-suite in Apollo. They did great disruption of the market with the pricing, tackled Zoom Info, captured huge part of the market. Now we're seeing a lot of changes regarding different concepts from the conversations that I'm having with customers, also in the communities of the startups. A lot of changes in the first of all, the market approach, finding your product market fit and pricing yourself. These are big topics, and there's a lot of turmoil there. Not a great understanding how to approach that, how to position. To give any forecast on anything right now for 5 years, I think that's that's pretty bold. Whatever forecast I make, I feel like that's really bold. There's one certainty that I feel like the AI bubble is going to burst pretty soon. It's going to take, I think, 6-7 months, and after that, I feel like the dust is going to settle down. We're going to have a pretty good understanding what we can do with AI and what's pretty stable and what strategies are working. So I'd say that year and a half, 2 years maybe will be pivotal in technological SaaS, B2B, whatever space you are, future, especially for all roles that are involving those tasks that could be potentially affected, that will be affected with AI. So I think that we're gonna see a lot of changes, and we're gonna see a lot of new companies rising. They're gonna be like 2, 3 people led, and they're gonna be hitting 50, 100 million annual recurring revenue. So this is something that we were started noticing. There was a case in Israel with Explorium co-founder who did a startup, one-person startup, did an exit in 6 months. I believe was 80 million. So this is more an exception than a rule right now. But I feel as we move forward, this is going to be more of a trend coming up. So let's see, exciting times ahead. I'm I'm definitely
We're still
excited. That's
waiting
right.
for this one-person unicorn, right? So,
Oh, right.
uh,
Yeah, yeah.
so that's still waiting. Let's keep our fingers crossed. And sometimes I have the feeling that it's harder to forecast what's going to happen in a week rather than what's happening in like a couple of years. So this is also like quite interesting what we're currently seeing on the market with the pace of the changes. But today I think we're going to touch on the thing that is hasn't changed for a while. So pricing being one of the most important levers in growing your business. And maybe
Mhm.
let's start with a bit of an open question. So how you developed your maybe passion, maybe trust in pricing, and how, like, as a business professional, you've actually realized that it provides big value to the companies. And it might seem like an obvious question, but I still have a feeling that only 5 to 10% of C-level founders, people in SaaS businesses, understand pricing as a growth lever. They rather treat it as an elephant in the room. So let's start with that. So how did you realize that pricing can be important in your businesses?
Oh, that's a great question. I love it. I've actually had a lot of conversations here in Croatia. There's a lot of startups coming up now, and what's really great about our ecosystem that we have so great engineers, and they create such a amazing products, even when they are just out of beta. I feel like they're way ahead from different from other regions. Uh, but the issue they're having, they don't realize the importance of positioning in the market. They're not understanding how to find product market fit, and pricing is something that's always, okay, what do we do? How do we approach that? And I feel like most of the companies, startups that I've spoken that to, they take this lightly. They are uh they this is something that I was thinking about prior to the webinar. That saying, life is something that happens in the meantime while you make plans. I feel like for them, pricing is something that happens in between. And the issue there is that they follow sort of like rule of thumb and just play by the ear or copy the competition, or just try to come up with something that would work and just play it by ear and move on. And it's a huge problem. Um, for me, in my career, pricing has been always super, super important. And one thing is really, really crucial. You have to understand the value that you're delivering. So I would say once you have the product market fit and you understand, okay, I'm actually doing this and that. This is the pain that I'm solving. This is the value that I'm bringing. Then after that, pricing is never a problem with the customer. Um, Obviously, if you're having a sales conversation and you're talking about pricing, there's always going to be back and forth negotiations, and it's always going to be some sort of pushback. And I always say to my team, if they're always, oh, these guys are negotiating, they're asking for discount. Well, of course they are. They're customers. It's their job. If they're not asking for a discount, then there's a problem in the process, then we obviously positioned ourselves wrong. It's your job to pivot that conversation to the value that you're getting. Once you get there and you can present the return of the investment they're getting for the product that they're buying, pricing is not an issue anymore. Obviously, as any other customer, whenever you're checking something, looking for something, you look, maybe, if you get a coupon if you can get a discount, this is a natural behavior. It's going to always happen. And we need to understand, okay, that's something just, natural process. But if you have perfect understanding of your product and the value you're delivering, pricing shouldn't be a problem. Increasing the price also shouldn't be a problem. Something, you shouldn't be afraid of tackling that topic, so to say.
Oh, a couple of points that you've mentioned, and hi to the chat. Hi, Alexander. Hi, Martina. It's great to have you. But you mentioned a couple of points, though. First of all, many founders, many startups are just deciding to put the price based on the cost or based on the competition, which is already some strategy, right? It's still better
Mhm.
than gut feeling, most likely. But then you pivot it to the value, right? So once you've mentioned value, and let me challenge this a bit, because of course, like internally, I think the value is the most important, and we are also using value-based frameworks. But then thinking in terms of a startup founder, CX level at any SaaS company, value can seem like a bit of a fluff, right? What is this magical
Mm.
value? Will make your business better, right? So I would like to ask you a question. How do you go about actually quantifying value, having these value conversations, how to actually calculate it, how to have and how to make your customers to realize that you are actually, as a company, as a salesperson, responsible for delivering this change in the company?
That's a really great question, Chris. I think this is where your expertise comes in. Value, it's definitely like something like magical out of book, something like, okay, what is value to me? So, uh, in business, if you're able to connect your product to the return of investment, if you're able to connect your product to the increase of the revenue of the customer, to the save time, resources, whatever. In that case, you are able to somehow put a number to that value. You are able to say, okay, if you purchase XYZ software, you're going to be able to reduce the churn to XYZ, whatever. That means your revenue is going to increase by a certain percentage, and we have that specific value. But I feel like it in those cases it has to be something tangible. If it's not tangible, for example, we're talking about some sort of a service, then pricing is really, really difficult topic to approach, and you have to have more experience, more knowledge about everything that you're going to bring to the table and how to present that and able to price it.
So you are saying that value needs to be quantified, right? So basically, let's say that with our solution, you will reduce the churn by, and it can be a bracket, right? An amplitude, right? So we're gonna increase it from, or decrease the churn, hopefully not increase, decrease the churn from 6 to
Yeah.
9%, for example. And this is how we deliver this quantified value to our clients. From your experience, how often those conversations are really happening? Do you see in current technology ecosystem this growing in importance, or it's still like not a blue ocean but rather a blue puddle?
We're talking about pricing overall, or
Value for now, and then we'll zoom out to price.
yeah, value. Um, and yeah, I feel like uh, with the conversations and experience that I've had, it's not still that how to say, they haven't had that epiphany, revelation. They haven't been shown the potential of the value of the pricing of everything. I feel like this is something that hasn't hit that mark of importance in their roadmap. I feel like founders are really focused, at least in my ecosystem, on the product and product, and then they hit some sort of hit some sort of a mark, and they get investment money, and then they're in trouble. They are facing something that they've never faced before. They're in uncharted territory. They don't have to react, and I feel like most of those decisions made in those situations are sort of um, like I would say like just making a bet based on your, on your understanding of the situation. You have to move fast. You're under pressure. You just make a bet. Okay, this is what we do. Let's copy this kind of a concept. We've seen that work with others. Let's do the same thing. Obviously, it's not something that should be copied that much. But yeah, I think it's still not that big of a topic as it should be. It's not getting that spotlight.
And then, while like I think we can both agree that right now we see a bit of a hype train around pricing. So definitely, it's much more in at least LinkedIn conversations, maybe conference conversations. It's definitely a
Mhm.
bit more present. Recently, I was in Berlin, and I remember at the artist conference. I remember I was there like 3 years ago, and I was the only person talking about pricing on stage. This year, we had three keynote speakers on pricing, and I was conducting two
Nice.
pricing workshops, right? So I think that the change, at least in the discussions, it's happening. Most likely, this change is brought by AI, and also from AI, we see usage-based pricing, credit-based pricing more and more present on the market. Uh, what do you think about the current change that's happening? Do you think that moving from this classical output metric, not output, that user metrics, towards more usage outcome success metrics, is this only a marketing, or do you see it really happens in the market? That's the question number one. It's a bit of a nested question, because in general, I would like to get your opinion on the current pricing changes on the market.
Yeah, 100%. So no, I'm happy to hear there's more conversations regarding the pricing and more people emphasizing that. Uh, I feel like this is a super important topic, and the knowledge and experience is just growing, and people are starting to understand what's really important in their like lifespan of the company, of the product. So um this is something really important. And when it comes to current shifts, I'm super excited about it. I have to say, I'm really excited to see how it goes. I've seen some announcements that some companies are going to pivot from seat-based pricing to usage-based pricing.
Can you shed
You
some light,
see,
or is it like confidential for now?
it's pretty confidential, but I'm super excited because these are sort of like whales enterprise companies that have pretty big portion of the market. And if this is to happen, and I feel this is crucial to happen, this is sort of a disruption market where a disruption of the market where they have to adjust, or they're going to just um, slowly die out. And it's also a calculation whether to adjust the seed-based pricing, whether to come up with some bundles, whether to come up with team plans, whether to have some sort of pools of users or whatever. There's multiple scenarios where you can stay on the topic, on the idea of having seat-based pricing, and not to tackle it, but sort of market it a little bit differently. Usage-based pricing for me is a really um, great way forward. I feel like this is going to be great for the business, and it's going to be really interesting to see that position. I don't think it's just a marketing. I see this as a way the we had great change where all the software companies pivoted from lifetime licenses to SaaS concept. I feel like this is something similar to that, and overall, it might be really great for startups, for small companies that need the tools. The usage is small, but obviously, if you're enterprise companies, I feel like the invoices are gonna increase, the revenues are gonna increase, and also it's gonna make those companies focus on the features, on the usage. So right now, for example, those companies, let's say um, I don't know, Zoom Info, who has all those features and everything. You have to pay for a seat, let's say $15,000. At the end of the day, you're using one of the features. If they pivot from that concept to the usage based, then they're going to see a huge decrease in revenue. And obviously, they cannot do that without great analysis of their customer base, of the market, of the needs, of the usage. And if they are able to pivot and focus on the features that are going to be used extensively, then they can market this perfectly, have retention of the existing customers who are currently looking for specialized products, which have, either a perfect sequencer, perfect lead gen, perfect AI generation, whatnot. They're pivoting to specialized product that gives them exactly what they need instead of paying for the entire set of features just using one. It's going to be awesome to see how companies like that are going to tackle that, and how to focus on the features that customers exactly perfectly need. So usage based, I think it's going to definitely happen, uh, and it's something that those enterprise companies are slowly pressured to do, because there are so many specialized tools that are way, way cheaper, and they are already running either usage based, or there's just like a entry fee that you pay and you have unlimited number of seats, whatnot. So I feel like it's a matter of time.
Think that it's matter of time, not only because of the big companies are doing that, but also, and if you think about this, it brings usage-based pricing, most likely brings more value to the prospective customers of your product, right? Because you are only paying when you are using. Of course, I mean,
Exactly.
there are different shades of usage-based pricing, because you can have usage caps, we can go all we can go full circle with having a good, better, best 100 uses, 200 like cap of usage, etc. But I think it brings us closer to the value that we are delivering to our clients with our products. The more tangible is our value, the higher will be the conversion, most likely, which at the end means that those companies are capable of earning more money. That's number one. Number two, you mentioned Zoom Info, but this is, those big, like gigantic companies are a bit of a trap, I think, and I would like to also get your opinion about that, because I think that they have so much revenue at stake at this level, that changing from user based or like any classical pricing model, it's too much of a risk for them, right? So it's going to take time, and most likely incumbents can become very competitive through utilizing more modern pricing metrics, more modern pricing models. Modern pricing model. It's hard to say. So, do you think that pricing will become some sort of a strategic advantage for new companies, or it's going to be again new pricing models will be reserved only for the biggest company who can afford doing hardcore analytics, having this implemented in the product, etc.
Yeah, Chris, no, that's a really great point regarding the value. With usage-based pricing, it's going to be much easier to understand the value you're getting from the product, and that's gonna definitely increase the retention. When it comes to pricing changes of big companies, there's a huge revenue at stake, but what I also like to say, not making a decision is also a decision. So if you decide to stay at the current pace or current path that you've seen to be working over time, even though you see revenue slowly being chipped off, then you're making calculated decision to prolong your lifespan as much as you can, and then you're gonna make that call when you have to, when it's like do or die. uh, for these companies, I feel like they are able to do calculated risk, to do calculated analysis, market analysis. And even though it looks like something that's um, science fiction at this point, like Zoom Info moving to usage based, that would be um, basically insane. Like, oh my God, I can't believe they did that. Like, what's going to happen? They have billions of revenue. What now? Like, what's going to happen with the legacy plans? This and that. There's so many things that would be tackled, that would be questioned during that. But Zoom Info um, is actually a company that is able that has the manpower resources to have that launched in a perfect setup where they can recapture the market they lost, and they can rebuild or retain the revenue. They can do that, obviously know that better than me, with elastic pricing, testing on different markets, pushing that to different regions, seeing how the market reacts, having special promotions, and just gathering the analysis, and then they could potentially launch that on large scale. For the startups, it's you have to do something. I feel like a lot of startups are dying actually because of the pricing, because they're not able to position themselves, they're not able to present the value, they're not able to price that value, they're not able to tackle anything on the market in a sense for pricing. Because I feel like I'm a huge fan of disrupting the market and just seeing what others are doing, and just uh, being super specialized in that and disrupting the concept they have. I think a great example in with that is Instantly, their email sequencer,
Mhm.
and with one subscription you have unlimited number of accounts. And when you compare, for example, SalesLoft, where you have to pay for each seat, let's say $2,000. If you have 20 people, I don't know, the bills come $30,000-$40,000 a year. And when you look at the stats and numbers, at the end of the day, what's your team actually using? They're using just the sequencer, maybe a dialer now and then, like 5% of the time, whatever. It's not that relevant. And you have a specialized product that's delivering exactly that, and you're comparing um, your cost of, let's say, 30,000-40,000 to $1,000. And if you have that concept and you're able to market yourself properly with that disruptive concept, I think great things will happen. Obviously, once those companies capture the market, then they have a certain choice where they can upsell based on the usage. They have obviously certain caps. They can offer you more enrichments. They can say, okay, you can send only 50,000 emails or something like that. There's huge room to improvement regarding the pricing and how to add more value and price it differently. So I feel like it's a cycle. Those companies come in, they take a certain feature out of huge enterprise whales, they do it perfectly, they disrupt the pricing, they do it for a year and a half, and then they're at a crossroad intersection where they have to make a decision, either to somehow price it differently, add different value, upsell the customers, or what also becomes the case, they themselves wish to become those enterprise in a sense of the features. They start building, in addition to email sequencer, CRM, different kind of features that were not something that was initially, their core business. So they're on the crossroad, making a decision either to stay disruptor of the market, or to try and go into that enterprise space in a sense of features and everything. So I feel like this is Really, really interesting topic. And I feel like disruption of the market is imminent and it's going to happen. It's now only question of time when are the bigger companies going to adjust to that and how are they going to react. So yeah, let's see. I mean, there's a lot of revenue at stake and a lot of resources that those bigger companies are able to invest in different setups that would potentially retain their customers. So let's see.
And it's good that you're saying, because like it seems that the things that you've mentioned, they're touching upon two things. So I think we agree that new models can increase conversion for prospective clients. But what also you said that it's gonna, or it has a big potential of increasing your net revenue retention, which basically means that with usage-based model, with success-based models, you can achieve higher expansion revenue. I was lately talking to one founder who is working with intent software, and he was capable of achieving 160% of net revenue retention, which basically means that you can start very, very low in terms of pricing to make your pricing even less, like price less value that you deliver, but you need to convert as many people as possible, because in time they will increase their tickets by 60, 70, 80, 90% with the usage that you are delivering. Then what you can do, you can increase prices for them, because if they see a lot of value, if they're using it a lot, it means that the barrier of exit from your SaaS is super high, which basically means that you can then make it much more profitable. Which basically brings me to the point that I think that in the backend, the shift that we are seeing is that pricing is becoming a process, not a one-off exercise. And of course, it always has been a process, but I think more and more companies are treating it like this. So thinking about the tangible, because we spoke a bit about the core value metrics, we spoke a bit about the future and the disruption that is happening right now. But if I'm a SaaS founder, if I'm a like CXO at the big, or pricing director at the big company, what are the and I wanted to make it a bit of an operational discussion right now. What are the first three things that I should look into while debating my pricing? Where from your experience, you have seen typically impact levers for pricing? And also, we're super happy to hear it from our audience. So we've discussed already models. Now we will be discussing pricing levers. So please put in the comments if you are really seeing the change in pricing and the disruption that Zovo was mentioning, and then giving back to you. So what are the actions you would take?
Yeah, so it's pretty straightforward, Chris. If I was a director of a startup or whatever, C-suite of a startup or a well-established company, and I want to tackle pricing, I would call you, Chris. And that's it. I would call you, have you give me the breakdown and analysis of the pricing.
This is not a
Yeah, that would be
sponsored webinar, just to make sure. We are
yeah.
just good friends. So you can
This
send
is
the
yeah,
invite
this
later, right?
just an honest opinion, and also suggestion to everyone. And this is coming like honestly from heart, from my experience. It's not something that I've been suggested or told to say. The thing is, what I've seen with a lot of companies, um, they're not familiar with the pricing. They do not understand how to tackle it, and usually decisions regarding pricing come from really like rule of thumb or just comparisons, or saying, okay, we've seen these guys do that sort of a plan and they price it like that. Okay, let's do the same. I've seen a lot of companies do pricing like that, and could work, could not. There's huge revenue on the table that you're risking of not gaining, not getting by doing that. I know companies that, for example, are hitting 8 million right now. And when I spoke to them about pricing, okay, how did you come to this idea of pricing your seats like that. They said, "Oh, we just checked Apollo's website and their pricing, and we thought, okay, this is something that's reasonable. Like we don't know, we have no idea what to do, so we just copy pasted it, and Apollo was not even in the same kind of a space. That it was a different specialty, so to say. So if I were if I were to um, check the pricing, restructure the pricing, I would obviously definitely look the comparison to the competition, but I would also try to with that do a comparison of the features of all the value that we can bring, and try to have an understanding of the forecast of the revenue, what certain changes would obviously entail. uh, and I've always been a fan of price increase, and that's something that it's really hard to push for. And I believe if you have perfect fit, if you can increase the value, if you can keep delivering what your customer specifically needs, then price increase shouldn't be a problem. But also, there's a lot of metrics there to calculate. There's a lot of issues that you're facing, so you have to face um, renewals of your legacy plans, how to navigate price increase to them and new users. And for increase, I would say it's even easier to navigate the price increase than the having significant drop or disruption, or say, okay, let's say we position this $1,000 a month, we're going to switch, we're going to disrupt everything, we're going to $100 a month, and now you have legacy users and you need to either keep them on a legacy plan or to convert them to new plan. You have entire new structure that's going to be really hard to present. Um, while price increase, if it is followed by increase in the value, it's a little bit easier to navigate and properly communicate to your customers. And if they're super satisfied, it shouldn't be a problem. Also, what I've noticed, a lot of companies they will sort of
Sorry,
just
let
get
me,
yeah.
because, sorry because this I want to deep dive on, right? So sorry for pausing
Yeah,
you for a second. But as you mentioned that you're a big fan of price increase, so there is two of us, and I think there is more of us of price increase enthusiasts in the chat. Of course, it depends on which side of the table you're sitting at, right? So if you're increasing or if you're a doubtful beneficiary of price increase, so we need to pay more tomorrow. But let's try to, and I would like to pick your brain and understanding your experiences. We've mentioned already when it's a good time, right? So you look at the competition. From my side, I would add also to look at your profitability. As we know from you
mhm,
and content that you are publishing on LinkedIn, everything starts and ends with the data. So the truth will be there, right? So if you see that, that your profitability is declining, you need to take a new investment. If you see that around 10 to 15% of revenue is leaking in your through suboptimal discounting, those are most likely the worst intents to start with or to consider price increase. But let's try so we have those intents already. So for you, what would be the next step, right? To decide if I should price increase. Let's spend a couple of minutes and how to actually do it on that. And then maybe we can also move to the communication, because you mentioned communication, but
yeah,
just to make sure that we have some structure and it's also beneficial for our audience. Let's now decide on discuss, how to basically decide, right? And how much you should increase, to whom you should increase, what is the timeline of price increase. If you could deep dive on that, that would be fantastic.
yeah. Well, yeah. First of all, this is just my humble opinion, not huge expert on that, but obviously you
This
have
is,
to
of
look.
course, like, this is not a legal advice to everyone. We're
Yeah,
our
do
experiences.
not take
So,
it. Yeah, do not take it as written in stone and something you have to go for. But yeah, so what I usually like to take a look at is, and this is like a beginning and the end of all conversations, I would say, is product market fit. How comfortable you are, how confident you are with your fit. If you are 100% sure that you have perfect fit, then all the conversations go from that, and also pricing and price increase. And what are the signals? You can see decrease in the revenue. You notice obviously a couple of things happening. Even if you have increase in the revenue, I would say that is not a huge change to the course you should take. One thing you should definitely take a look at is churn, and what companies are churning and for what reason are they churning. And you have to check at new acquisition, what is the use case. And if you have perfectly set up use case and you know you're solving that pain point and you're able to double down on that, you're able to additionally just add more value, price increase should be a natural occurrence, because obviously you're just expanding that value or doubling down on that. For example, I don't know, you need accurate, verified leads for some company, and if I'm able to deliver that next year faster, I'm able to deliver you more. You're going to be more than happy to pay more. And price increase, I feel like, should be a natural occurrence, a natural path that just is, something to be expected at. For example, you're using, I don't know, six to get a rental, and first year they give you let's some mid car, let's say, let's not name any brands, and next year they say, okay, we're upgrading, you're getting BMW. Obviously, you're expecting to have a bigger investment for that, but you're happy, you're the quality, the the service is increasing, the value is increasing, and everything. And if we have that natural flow, you're able to double down on everything that you're delivering.
But if
Pricing
they're
should be,
upgrading it to BMW, there will be there won't be a turn signal, right? So you have a engine upgrade, but the turn signals won't be there. Sorry, just a
well,
flat
yeah,
joke,
yeah,
of course.
yeah. That's a different topic. But yeah, I feel like if you have that path, if it's everything going in forecasted, for planned course, price increase is definitely a yes. And this is something that you should be definitely comfortable with as a salesperson, decision maker. There's multiple ways to go way about it. Obviously, Chris is more expert in that, but this is something that customers, if you are positioning it properly, should be expecting that. Now, the communication of that price is definitely a topic for itself.
Yes, and let's deep dive on the communication in a second, but let's just say that let's try to create the process out of it, right? So first is intent, we discussed it. So you see that, your growth is flattening. Number two, you're adding more features, more value, price should follow it. Number three,
Yeah,
you see that most of your sales are discounting your product, most likely stealing the discounts, which is increase effective price increase to currently existing customers, is intense. Now, step number two. Now we've discussed how to take the decision, right? So if you see that you can afford it on the churn level, so for example, you have like 20% price increase. If you want to be better off, you can afford 30% of churn, right? This most likely will never happen, but have this calculation, make the data-driven decision to see what is basically the risk of price increase. So now we know the intents, we've decided on how much and to whom, and now we have to communicate this. So from your experience, what type of communication planning and communication types you've seen it working the best for you?
uh, yeah. Well, that's a really huge topic, I would say, and has to be something that's planned on a company level, involves different departments. And if you have a healthy relationship with the customer and you're able to communicate, um, you have a healthy communication through the entire longevity of the customer, then you're able to have multiple channels that inform customers of the expansion of the features, added value, and you can go back and forth and just focus, double down on their needs, on their specific usage, and just emphasize all the new value that you're going to bring to the table. And if you are communicating those things and that path that's planned from the start, then it's not going to be a big of a problem. It's not going to be a shocker to them. And it's going to be something that they're expecting. Obviously, they're being foretold that there's development. They're going to get these things that they're actually looking for, and the price increase shouldn't be a problem. I feel like this is a really, really big topic. It's something with CX, sales, marketing should combine all the departments. What I wouldn't really do, that I can say for sure, do not bring up inflation. Uh, it's something that's gonna just destroy entire setup. It's gonna destroy everything. Like those kind of conversations you expect when you go to a grocery store. You don't expect on a official professional conversations with representatives of companies and telling this pricing of this product is going to increase due to inflation. You're going to get stuck in the weeds. Then those customers are gonna obviously navigate the conversation further in the inflation of specific countries and taxes and this and that. You're gonna end up discounting the price. If you cannot have a value-based price increase conversation, then you have to, refrain from other topics.
And it's also like when you're saying that, it brings me memories that there's not like, of course there's a huge benefit to increase the price if you are adding the value. There's also a very big risk if you are not increasing prices in time, because I think that for most of the companies that we are working with and people who are listening to us, most likely you have added some features last year, last 6 months, etc. If
Yeah.
you decide not to increase the price, your customers are not getting used to price increase. And we are always telling our customers that, hey, look, it's easier to do more frequent price increases than one big price increase in 3 years. So, and this is like churn related. B, if you are not used to price increases, I mean, you start questioning it. And like, fairly speaking, it's much easier to do every year 10% than after 3 years to make it 30%. And
Mm.
friends, this price increase like risk will basically catch you at some point, because inflation is there, cost of technology is there, AI came into the place, rising the cost of technology, and
Yeah.
at some point you will be forced to basically do it, right? So I think what you've mentioned, and I'm reverting it back to the middle of our conversation, that there's also a risk of not taking an action. And I think this is like in particular, not having these price increases in time while you are adding more value to your customers. It is a particular risk. So we're opening up right now the questions to the audience. So my friends, if you have any questions, please let us know in the chat, and we will try to answer them in a minute. And maybe like the closing question from my side, when it comes to price increases in general, do you have any growth hacks or tips that, I don't know, it works better in January than December, for example? Or do you see that like price increase, maybe in general, pricing hot takes, something that was very surprising for you and worked very well? Anything, yeah, on the growth hack side, if there is any, because it might, like, the answer might be, come on, pricing is a process. There are no growth hacks. So Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Honestly, nothing comes to my mind. We've had uh, a lot of experiments in my all the companies that I worked at. A lot of things that we did, and uh, there's always some sort of hacks in a sense where you can create some sort of fear of missing out kind of scenario with the pricing, or you can just have those certain psychological effect where the customers are going to say, oh, okay, yeah, now or never, we have to do it. Okay, we got to accept this pricing. But in my opinion, those are really good in short-term sort of campaigns where you want to seize the moment and you see some kind of a change for coming, or you want to just a little bit disrupt, or just let's say you want to hit the numbers for Q4, and then you're creating fear of missing out. You're saying, okay, price increase next year. Let's do whatever we can now, double the seats, whatever. But I would say there's no specific month or date. Every renewal 10% up, and it's never going to be a problem. If it's a problem, the customer is not getting the value. You have a different problem with that customer. Because from my experience, uh, obviously, we're going to talk about the pricing for the customer and everything, but if they're not seeing the value you're delivering, then it's irrelevant if it's 10, 15, 20%. And just having them use the 10% every year, I think, is the best way to go, unless you've done significant changes, or you've had some pricing in the beginning that was, you're leaving beta, you need early adopters, you're creating pricing just to get some users. In that case, you have to restructure it, rebrand it, redo everything, and then have something that's more stable for the long term, and you can just go 10% each year. But yeah, no specific hacks. Fear of missing out is always good. That's always something that works, and yeah, I would say that.
And maybe 10% is a hack in itself, right? So if you're
Yeah,
thinking that
yeah.
if you just have 20 seconds to decide if it's gonna how many percent it's gonna be, no, 10% never hurt, and then like maybe rarely hurts. But of course, there's an asterisk to asterisk. So maybe next webinar we can talk about the power of 10%. Thank you very much for joining our discussion today. I hope it was as fun as it was for you as it was for me. Sorry for being late also a bit. Unfortunately, I changed my system from Windows to OS. I thought it's going to be more smooth, to be very honest with you. And I think the last thing that I wanted to mention is that if you can just let us know how ContactOut, where you're a chief GTM officer, how it can help also some people from our audience, a bit of a stage time for you to also push your GTM further.
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for having me, Chris. It was true pleasure, and this is always an interesting topic for me, and would love to hear more in the coming webinars. Well, yeah, with the Contact Out, we have reinvented the market fit. We found a new market fit, and we just doubled down on that. We used to focus on seats, and we've completely ditched that. We're now data space, and we pivoted to that, and we are still one of the most expensive providers in the space, with 50% year-over-year growth in revenue, and that's really, really great results. And we're not gonna adjust to the competition. We're not gonna adjust to the market and just look what others doing. We know what we have, and we're best at it, and we're doing everything we can to stay best at it. And that's exactly kind of the message that I wanted to convey. Just once you find your market fit, pricing is not going to be a problem. Increase of the price is not going to be a problem. Just keep doubling down instead of trying to add additional, reinvent the wheel, try to add different things and just disrupt the entire concept you already built.
And with ContactOut, my friends, you can unlock the contact data. Thank you very much again for joining us. The next webinar will be in a couple of weeks from now. The topic will be pricing again, as you might have guessed. My name is Chris. I'm co-founder of ValueShift. We're a boutique pricing consultancy, and I hope to see you soon. Have a good one.
Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye.